All right. Hello, everyone. You're listening to Lipstick and Leather. Here I am for my second interview with Patrick Stone from Budderside.
Not one, two.
That's right. That's right.
Hell yeah. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today in California?
Yeah, amongst the hustle and bustle out here, man. Tinseltown is shimmering behind me.
All right. Now, Pardon Me was originally done with Lemmy's son for the first album. Why didn't it make the debut album?
With Lemmy's death and everything else, Paul decided to shut down the studio and take a little hiatus, much needed. I think he needed it, and we were all very supportive of that. We were working on the 11th song for that record, and that song would have been the 11th track, and it ended up being a 10-song record. We couldn't quite finish before he was ready to move on, and that was fine. We got enough out of it. A 10-song record is great. This album, Spiritual Violence, is a 10-song record, so it's kind of become a thing for us. It's 10 songs every record. I think that's cool. But I knew it would resurface at some point, and the work that Paul did with Phil and I in the studio was remarkable. And there wasn't really any reason to try to get Phil over here, especially during the crazy year that we've been having. There wasn't any reason to try to get him all the way over here to do it over. Instead, we just were able to salvage those tracks and put them in a brand new version of Pardon Me that we did over at NRG.
Very cool. Now, You've done unreleased demos with Filthy Animal, Phil Campbell, of course, other than Scabra and Pardon Me, and you've written with Lemmy for Bad Magic. Did you ever consider doing a side project with the Motorhead guys?
Who hasn't? You know what I mean? What person in rock and roll hasn't wanted to not only meet but jam with Lemmy? I've had a few opportunities to do that myself, and I'm forever grateful. Jamming with Phil all the time is the same thing. Just so grateful that he was ever willing to sit down and be more of a mentor at times than he was just a jamming partner. But then for him to step up and make me feel like his equal and partake in some of the things I've written was completely mind-blowing. Filthy Phil Campbell, and we just jammed for weeks on end. We just wouldn't stop, at the studios in Silver Lake over there. So super grateful to jam with any of them. Would always jump on any opportunity that came my way to play with those guys or do anything with them. God bless them.
Very awesome. Now, of course, talking about the video's end, the 4 mythical monsters are involved. The Nightmare of Kushusaki Onna, Kappa, Rukurukubi, and Gasha Dokuru come to life in the video. Do you have to go through any legal stuff to make the Zen video a go?
First of all, huge applause for pronouncing those names correctly, man. I've had to copy and paste those 100 times because it's impossible to memorize them, not only how they sound, but how to spell them. But the easiest thing to remember is how they haunt you. And that's part of Japanese folklore, which I don't think anybody has the rights to. I think that they are really ghosts that exist. They are horrifying figures that have haunted Japan for, since the beginning of time. And I don't think anybody could give you a copyright or a patent on their existence. I think they're free to use. I've seen these T-shirts, the skeleton, the big skeleton. Even Guns N' Roses has used them. Many bands have used them going into Japan as their marketing strategy and ploy, because the people over there are as into that as we are into Elvis and Marilyn Monroe here in Hollywood. You walk up and down the streets and you can't look in a window without seeing those celebrities. And in Japan, in Tokyo, it's the same way. All of these monsters are the most famous figures in that city, in that country. So everybody knows who they are. And we thought it was a really cool way to not only bring in the message that goes along with Zen and, its encompassing definition, but also to bring about and bring alive that place that we were, Tokyo, Japan, and bring it to life and let the people there know that we know what's up with that town and spread the word around Japan. And they've taken to it quite well. We've gotten a lot of great response from Japan. We're dying to go back. We actually have a tour plan to play Osaka and Tokyo at the end of this year. So we're super excited, and no, have not run into any legal problems getting the rights to those ghosts. Just haunted and nightmares.
Now, any truth that the original title of the first Budderside CD was supposed to be Serve No Wine Before Its Time?
Where did you find that? I've never heard that before.
I don't even remember at this point.
Serve no wine before it's time. I mean, that would have been good. Yeah, no, I've never heard that before. Serve. I mean, I've heard it before, but not for our title. No, kind of goes along with the butter and the, I don't know. So many things tie into like the, you know, the whole food element of it. But funny coming into the name, Budderside could be, a skateboard trick. You've got the front side, you've got the back side, and then if you flip it and put your feet on the face of the board, that's a butter side. Butter side is also, butter that you pull off marijuana, the 420. The actual 99.97% pure THC is butter, Budder, the way we spell it. But the name was completely, it was its own freak of nature. It was kind of the anti-cliche. So the name really has nothing to do with anything other than our sound and who we are. But no, serve no wine before it's time. No, I've never heard that before.
Now, you lived a very full, interesting life. Would you ever consider writing a book, a life story, autobiography?
Absolutely. I've actually got 90 pages of a screenplay that I've written for the book. I mean, the movie, actually. I had this amazing relationship for a very long time with her name's Jessica Leventhal. She's actually writing for a lot of sitcoms now, and she was a powerful player here in Hollywood. And we would run around with all of the actors and producers. She was actually the assistant to Bruce Cullen, who did the Oscars one year, and I was able to sit there I was at the Oscars in Justin Timberlake's seat while he was backstage. So anyway, I was in with this whole acting crew. And speaking of which, I did a show called Deadwood. I dragged Lemmy all the way out there. All the guys from Alice in Chains were on set. The guys from Anthrax, ZZ Top. There were so many rock stars on the set that day. But there was just this whole whirlwind of acting that came about when I got sober. It was kind of like my go-to for supporting myself. I had never considered really getting serious about taking care of myself. And when I got sober, that was the one thing that popped into my head. I can do this. So I started pursuing acting, and one thing led to another, a few TV shows. I got a few commercials. I got really lucky with it. It was really cool. But in the midst of all that, I had acting classes and met this girl, and she was such a phenomenal writer. She graduated from Yale and had she was an English major. So she sat down with me and we wrote the script of my life, because it's interesting enough to support a movie, if not a mini series or a book for sure. But someday I will put the movie out, at some level. And I've been saving the last, every page is a minute. So 90 minutes, we're getting pretty close to the end there. And I've kind of held out on the last few scenes to see what the actual climax is, because life just keeps getting better and better. So, I've got to see how it ends before I write it, So it's almost ready to go. Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah. The next 6 months, I think, are going to fill up those last 30 pages for sure.
Very sure. All right, we just talked about acting, of course. You've been on the Ben Show, commercials by AT&T, HBO's Deadwood, as you said. Any more TV appearances coming up?
Nothing coming up. I've been I've heard a few things about this John from Cincinnati show. It was something that basically got the chapter 11 after one season. David Milch, again, who did Deadwood and Last of the Ninth, that never saw the light of day. All of these things, I was just hot on his tail because I just thought he was the most amazing actor. And we had all of these crazy universal things in common, the same birthday and all these other things. He believed in a lot of the same things. So I felt like I had this real strong magnetic pull to this guy. And at one point it felt like he was really reciprocating it. He brought me into Junie Lowry casting at one point, which is like impossible to get an audition there. And again, I attribute all of this to the man upstairs and saving me and giving me another lease on life with sobriety. But yeah, acting. I love acting. I just was actually on the phone with my agent the other day and asking him if he can start to kind of turn those wheels again, just because it's a great way to fricking make a living. You know what I mean? It's those paychecks start coming in, those AT&T commercials and the USAA commercial. I mean, you go to the mailbox and it's just it's like winning the lottery. Every few days you get another check for royalties, and you're just like, wow, I didn't know I could afford a new jacket, but I'm gonna go get one, and whatever. It's nice. It's nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, you've worked with West Arkeen for over a month at Karaoke Studios and wrote and recorded the track The Common Shadow. Did you record any more material, and how close were you to joining the Outpatients?
Man, I love you for bringing him up. The Outpatients was, I officially had joined, but it was so exciting for me to meet Wes. He was just so much larger than life. The guy was, I remember turning onto the street that he lived on the first time I was supposed to meet him, and he was out in front of his house on top of his, he had this International Scout. These are like a classic 4x4. And he was on the roof of it with his hose, washing his car to this, he had the stereo cranked, and he had this old tune, I love you, but your feet are too big, listening to true blues. And, we went inside, and he got up on his bed, and I sat on his floor, and it was like he was on stage in front of a million people. He would play his guitar in front of me. And we started sharing songs, and I was actually trying to pitch him so hard back then. Even then I had what I call Budderside, so Budderside's always been my songs. And he was ready and excited to start playing on these tracks with me and my songs. And he started pitching me his songs, not pitching me, but we started sharing songs. Back then we didn't pitch things. It was more of a personal relationship, but it was already, it was a go. The moment I walked into his apartment the first time, Joey and his brother Jamie were there, the twins, and we started kind of doing rehearsals and shows and stuff like that. But we immediately started recording at Cherokee. Jimbo Estrella was also very involved, a dear friend of ours. It's just it's surreal, that whole, it was probably just a few months, that it all, experiencing his life and having him come in and out of it all happened so fast, it seems like. But yeah, the Outpatients I was super excited, it was eerie though, when we were recording that song and I was behind the glass, and Gibby was on the console there at Cherokee, and Wes was there, and they were kind of laughing at me because I was so green. He used to say, "Man, green, ain't he?" That was really kind of my first official huge studio kind of recording experience, other than some stuff I'd done at Granny's in Reno. But this was the real deal. I thought it was something very special to be jamming with, somebody who wrote the songs that I was inspired to become a rock star from. It's So Easy and the Guns N' Roses stuff. But there was this eerie feeling while singing those lyrics and trying to comprehend exactly what they meant. The Common Shadows lyrics are all about leaving this place, and it felt like a goodbye, you know what I mean? And it was like you couldn't look him in the eye while you were reading and writing, singing these songs without feeling like he was paving the path to his farewell. And everybody that knew him kind of felt the same way. They played that song at his funeral, and it was chilling. It was the first thing that happened. Everybody sat down at his funeral, and that song began to play, and just unreal feeling, such a huge spiritual presence, and such a wonderful writer and creative force in this world, And I have to say, it's like there's so many people like that I'm jealous of. I mean, every musician that's ever left us early, it seems like all the great ones do. I almost feel like, why am I still around? Like, am I not good enough? I feel like if you're that great, God's just like, yeah, I need you up here, or the universe says, come on over to this side, But Wes is was definitely one of those, and the Outpatients is still to this day. It's one of my favorite records, man. That record is just so great. It's just so perfect. It's so well written, perfect climaxes and come downs, and just the lyrics are just fantastic, man. So salute to Wes, wherever you are, brother. Love you.
Now, Michael Wagner was supposed to produce the Budderside album. He's very, very close to happening. How come it didn't?
That was cool. Yeah. They're far away. He's out in Tennessee. Getting the whole band over there at the time just felt like that was just one thing that was, that was one piece of the puzzle that wasn't quite lining up. Us going out there and staying, I just don't think it fell into the right right pocket, but I would have been so excited to work with him. I love that guy. He's so great. His studio is awesome. It's got Star Wars stuff in it. So I was instantly like, super excited about the place. And thank you, April, for introducing me to Michael. And we would see each other, the Monsters of Rock cruise and stuff like that. He's just so great. And every record on his wall is something that influenced me heavily. Skid Row records, the Ozzy Osbourne records. It's just like, wow. But equally so, it was Jay Baumgartner, who was right here down the street, and it was another connection that I had through Lemmy, and Lemmy signing us to the label was just one piece of the puzzle that just made it seem like this is what the universe wanted. So we went in that direction. Barbara Dolls introduced me to Jay, and Barbara Dolls had been signed by Lemmy to his label as well as us. So it felt like, this is something that I'm being handed instead of like something I have to work at, which isn't something I mind doing. I love working at something, but when you start putting your energy towards something and the energy starts getting reciprocated, that's where I start to follow and really get inspired. And then that's when you can't stop me. So, but in the future, if Michael's open to it, I'd be down to work with him any day. Yeah. Yeah.
Very awesome. Now, you've played a rockin' version of White Christmas live with Budderside. Would you ever consider recording a Christmas song or a Christmas album?
Yeah. We've talked about it, and some of the guys, like, it's funny because, my guys are hilarious because they'll bag on one thing one day, and then the next day they're off doing it themselves. But we're all like that, you know what I mean? It's like, I would dig it, you know what I mean? I love Christmas music. I think it'd be cool to like do, a hard Christmas album. I mean, all of my heroes have done it, I've heard every band that I've ever loved, I've heard them do some Christmas music. So why not,
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Now, how is the experience of the members of KISS, Gene, Paul, and Bruce, joining you on stage at the KISS pre-shows as the KISS house band, LA KISS?
It's nerve-wracking, to be honest. But only because I'd heard so many horror stories about like how, I don't know, just a lot of people talk about how they've approached those guys and they're just so intimidating. And, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get them to, they're just so busy and so successful. You know what I mean? I think they probably have so much to do every day that it's got to be hard to take time out of your day for anything. But they were always super sweet to me. Backstage, they would come back there and sit with us and talk with us. And of course, Matt Starr, was great friends with them, and and very tight, like he's family to them, and he was the guy who brought me in. So so they were very at home with us, and I was just I was treated very well, but at the same time, very aware of how iconic they are. And you begin to practice KISS songs, and it's not until you try singing songs that you realize actually how difficult they are. You can appreciate music and whatever else, but man, those guys sing like, Paul sings like a bird. There's some notes in there and some things, and it's just like you want to get it so perfect and right. And I'm not sure that I ever did, but they were very warm and welcoming while they sat there right there on stage with us, watching us, and they gave us the salutes, and I was very happy. And it was always very gratifying to get, to finish a day of work there was like, it was a dream. It was great. It was so much fun.
Definitely. Now, being good friends with Nunu Betancourt for many years, any chance of having him maybe guest star on a future Budderside album?
Nuno, he's more of the guy that I pass in the halls at CVS. We would shop at the same CVS down here, and I'd see him, and we'd give each other a nod. And I've just never been that guy that runs up to people and just starts, yapping at them because of who they are. I kind of wait until the time is right. But Sam has worked with Nuno endlessly on so many different projects. And we've been up there to his house quite a few times. I would love to work with Nuno. Actually, the last time we went up to master Spiritual Violence, Nuno was in the parking lot there working on another project up there at Howie's place. So we kind of run into each other. He's just kind of part of that, it's Hollywood and the music world is a lot, it gets smaller and smaller every day. But Nuno's always been, again, another huge inspiration. If he ever wanted to, lay down anything, I'd be super excited to do it. Maybe next time Sam starts doing something with him, I'll go over and nudge my way into the situation.
Definitely.
No.
Now, you toured with Steelgrave for a while, and I believe recorded a version of the track Free Your Mind. Did you do any more recording with Steelgrave?
Oh, Steelgrave, man, he's so great. Alan, love that guy. We did some touring extensively in Europe. We went out with Ectomorph, one of my favorite bands ever, a black metal band, the band I never would have known of unless we jumped on there with Alan. But he brought me into ESP guitars, and I'm thankful that I don't have to play guitar in my bands anymore. But jamming with Alan, I would do it anytime. He's just such a great guy. He's been such a close friend and a hardcore supporter of each other. He's been a very understanding friend through like all of the transitions and tribulations that have happened between me and other folks that have been close to us. So I love Alan. I would love to work with him at any time. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great music.
Very cool. Now, the Aces and Eights CD, Dead Man's Hand, has been out of print for a long time. Has there been any talks of any type of reissue of it?
It's I've got a bunch of copies here, and you're right. Yeah, it's funny. This whole thing came about over the last few months. Taz, the main writer, musical writer for the group, and my dear friend forever, the one who, gosh, he passed away. Kaz got murdered, got shot in the face and was killed right here in LA a couple months ago. And we just had the online funeral service for him. And I've been listening to that stuff. It popped back up. I think I sent you a copy, right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, hardcore, just pure rock and roll. That outfit led me to so many opportunities because I was in that band. I got noticed by a lot of rock stars, everybody from Quiet Riot to Velvet Revolver, things I probably would have never seen or had the chance to work with if it weren't for that band and Taz and Evan and Phil and Kenny too. Those guys are so great. They're such great people. And, sometimes I kick myself when I say, that would have been the group to stick with, because it just fell right in line with the whole Motorhead thing. I think if I'd stuck with it, we probably would have signed with Lemmy a lot earlier and gone out on the road with him. But that's, you can just only imagine what could have been. But I made the choices that I did to kind of like, climb my way up the ladder. And unfortunately, that band kind of, it faded into the background, and poor Taz found himself going down a path that was he couldn't come back from. But that album is great, and if I can push it at any point, I will. It's still available on iTunes, I believe, and I have a bunch of copies. So if you see this and you want one, just DM me and I'll hook it up. Yeah, great stuff. Thanks for asking. Those are great songs, man.
Very cool, EP. Well, thanks again for your time, Patrick, for a second time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I love how you dig in, man. You know more about me than journalists have dug up. You're the guy, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. That was a lot of fun. Made for a great Friday. So we'll be in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Peace.
Take care.
Later, brother.
Later.